And with no further ado, look who just popped in at 6:58, 2 minutes early.
Oh, yeah. If you're not early, you're late.
If you're not early, you're late. We have 17 friends watching tonight. Our great thank you to our friend Hilda Beast, who is a regular on Echoplex Media. In fact, she helps Dave co-host sometimes. She's a fabulous person. And Dave's one of my favorite people. I don't want to admit to you how often I watch Echoplex Media because that would be embarrassing. But I'm going to say hi to my good friend Dave. He's down in the Bay Area. He has founded, along with some other wonderful people, Echoplex Media. They have a number of excellent podcasts during the week. I think they're a premier example of an independent broadcaster. Their broadcasts go from the intellectual Dollar Tree with co-host HK Perrin that covers many different topics, a lot of them the dark web and wacky people saying wacky things. That's always a good time. We have the Councilman and Dave that do Down Ballot, which I enjoy a lot, even though I don't happen to live in the Bay Area. That happens to focus on Bay Area politics, and the Councilman is an insider, so to speak, and has some pretty good stuff. And then on the weekend, you generally have a Catterday, which is a good time. Then Dave spins some tunes. I want to show people, just for the record, I'm wearing Dave's Echoplex Sessions t-shirt here, which I like a lot. I got that. And Dave spins some tunes, which is a good time. So it's not always serious. There's a lot of laughs. And then finally, before I throw it to Dave, we'll talk about the big show on Sundays. He records that live. It's called The Plex. It's every Sunday at 7. And then he goes into the late night with the red light, and we have a good time. So thanks again for being here, Dave from Echoplex Media. I'm going to go ahead and throw Echoplex Media's Twitch in the chat here. And I hope everybody, if you don't already, which you probably do, I hope you go over and follow them immediately on Twitch, because it's one of the best things going there. Hi, Dave.
Hey, what's up? That was quite an intro.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm a big fan.
You just forgot Thursdays we do Cults in the Satanic Panic.
Oh, thank you. Fill us in on that. Thursdays. What happens on Thursdays?
Oh, we just do an hour on Scientology or some other cult, but usually Scientology, and then we find some old Satanic Panic video for the second hour. We've been rewatching the Pagan Invasion lately, where they love Jesus and really hate people from India. and then of course we watch Fire by Night, because how could we not watch coked up Blaine try to do a Christian version of Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, Fire by Night is like it's a vintage late 80s, early 90s Christian television show that I believe they distributed mostly by video cassette.
Yeah. What would we say, live to tape? But literally tape at that point.
Right. And it's got some of the worst Christian music you'll ever hear. Sometimes it's just truly painful. We tend to get a lot of laughs and watch some nutty stuff. But one thing I guess that's really drawn me is, Dave, you've built a community.
Yes.
And I don't know in the real world virtually any of the people in that community. I don't know what their gender identification is. I don't know what their color is. I don't know what their age is. For the most part, we've learned a little bit more about each other in those things. But for the most part, people interact in that chat in one of the most positive, interesting ways that I've been to. And I think that's what draws it to me, is I like the people. Like, everybody is honest. And if somebody comes in and wants to fight, people are like, oh yeah, what do you want to fight about? Okay.
Yeah, right. We have an emote, the "Hello, I am debate" emote, that actually comes from somebody who came in the channel, and just the first thing they said is "Hello, I am debate," and we just like, well, we're gonna go ahead and use that. We can't claim to have invented that, but I think like one of the things that we were missing, because you've been with us since before we were on Twitch, and there was a little community around us back then, but the communication back then was a lot more one way from the studio out.
We used to do the chat on Discord, and then you were basically distributing through Icecast.
Yeah, we still have Icecast. We still simulcast via Icecast. But we didn't. The communication was largely one way. Once the show got going, we weren't paying that much attention to the chat, and there weren't like mods, and they're just because it wasn't, the discoverability was really low. We weren't doing video yet because some people were camera shy. Plus, like I just didn't have the requisite equipment or the know-how. But that was what was missing. You were there. It was fine. Like we were, it was fine. But I go back and listen, and I'm like, oh man, I was not really the greatest broadcaster back then, and that's fine. Like we all get better at the things that we're doing, and it was a little bit too chaotic, and the communication was in a lot of ways just a single direction, us out to the audience, and that's fine for a podcast, but for a live show, especially a live, smaller live show, you can't do it without talking to the people that are watching the show or listening to the show or whatever. It gets boring and it's a grind, and you can't make any money.
Yeah, and so as it's come, as your Twitch presence has grown, there's a number of broadcasters, just like our dear friend Hildebeest, rated us. So we kind of share information with each other, and people that kind of have different niches in the broadcasting sphere. So for example, Hildebeest does a lot of Canadian politics, and she does some gaming, and she's an amazing baker. And so, I'm not always like into what she's doing, but I always enjoy watching her, and the community is really cool. And I find that with Echoplex too. And I'm going to talk about two things that you've done I think are very interesting. Number one, you have a show that's not really one of your premiere shows, but it's still very significant, called Local Love, and you're a big supporter of the local music scene, and have shown me a lot of great artists over the years. And number two, Echoplex Media, because one of your founders also has that passion, has been doing an incredible job of covering what's going on in Shasta. So can you talk to us about both of those things, about Local Love and what role Echoplex Media has been playing in Shasta, and why that's an important story to you?
So we're kind of actually winding down Local Love in a lot of ways. We've done our time. We're not done, but we no longer do the interviews live. We no longer have it on the schedule. We're no longer like actively reaching out to artists and stuff, because if we've been doing it since 2016, and when you're doing what I'm doing, you got to pick and choose your battles, and getting that one going the way I really wanted it to go is like a battle that I had to get rid of. But real quick, I do have Nahal from Sweet Haya coming on for the new format. Is instead of like having we may still do this occasionally, but the old format was the whole band would come in, everybody would have a mic, we'd sit around and get fucked up. And that was fine, whatever, it was fun. But the new format is somebody, if they want to play some music or whatever, we set that up, we record that, but that's really not what's going on. I want one person or maybe two people from the band to come in and talk about themselves as well as their music. What do they do, their musical journey, or if you remember the Elise from White Fuzzy Bloodbath felt safe coming here.
Because White Fuzzy Bloodbath just released a new video a couple days ago that I shot over to you that's really good. They're heavy. And so, yeah, you had a couple episodes ago, I put up, nobody knows, well, people know, Echoplex Media is also on YouTube. And so you can go on YouTube and you can watch a lot of the podcasts, including Dave's interview with Elise from White Fuzzy Bloodbath, which is really interesting. It's not just about music. I'm going to tell you.
No, that's like she felt, because, and it came out in the post game of the interview. It's because we wear it's because we wear our progressive politics on our sleeve that she was like, this is the outlet where I have to go to tell my story, because I'm going to be in a place where people are going to treat me with respect. And so, and I'm glad that was the choice. And the next interview the last one I did was with Ryan Acosta of Sons of Theo. But again, it was we talked more about, he's a music teacher and he's trying to get get that going as his main business. So we talked more about that and his journey through teaching music, right? Because you can find interviews with these people in the past where they're talking about their band or they have their whole band on, and that's fine. But the next one is going to be Nehal Abuleta from Sweet Haya, and she's going to talk about her journey through music in the San Jose scene as an immigrant and as basically a queen bee in what is a boys club. And that's going to be the theme of that interview. It's going to be some of the same themes, I'm assuming, from the Elise interview. Hopefully nothing is intense, because I don't want to find out that you know what I mean. Right. I don't want to. But if something did go down, and this is a safe place to talk about it. The Shasta one kind of came out of nowhere, honestly. The media wench Ashley, my co-host and my co-conspirator, as Madison Star Moon would call her. Her kids and her baby's dad live up there, plus a bunch of her friends are up there, and she has family up there. And we first started covering them when this guy named Carlos Zapata essentially went to the Board of Supervisors and made a terrorist threat. There's no other way to describe what he did. He went up there and said that people were going to get hurt over like COVID restrictions. And it's just gotten, I guess maybe the temperature's down a little bit. Like, no individual incidents, except for this recent one where that guy went up there and just looked dead in the eyes of the only black guy in the room and said the N-word, which was pretty terrifying. But we've noticed it's everything from like anti-mask stuff, anti-vaccine stuff going on up there. Back in 2014, there was a famous incident where they had a whole meeting about chemtrails. And that's sort of lore. Like, for chemtrail people, they'll still show that as like evidence. I'm like, but that's a Board of Supervisors meeting in the most unhinged county in California. What are you talking about?
So when you talk about, and I want to tell people that I'm putting up the link for episode 326, and that'll also hook you up to Local Love and to the Echoplex Media YouTube channel, which you should follow, Elise from White Fuzzy Bloodbath. So that's up there. Go ahead and do that. And you can follow them on that. You'll dig it. Check out White Fuzzy Bloodbath YouTube channel, because they just put out some new videos this week too. It's pretty awesome. At least it's heavy stuff. So so playing those roles that you've played in stories, you've also played roles in investigations as well. So two things. Number one, what's the dystopia beat? So if people look at your channel there and they see that you call it the dystopia, what is that? And number two, when what you cover under that banner, what do you hope that you teach people?
So the dystopia beat is I didn't coin it, actually. Ben Collins from NBC. It's the first place I saw it was in his bio on Twitter. He's like, senior reporter, dystopia beat. And I was like, that sounds about, and I was like, well, I use a lot of his work. Like, I read his articles a lot, and I refer back to him, like, on background. I'm not just, like you were saying earlier, I'm not just like reading a Ben Collins article, but I certainly have learned a lot from him. And so the dystopia beat is, I guess, people who cover like conspiracies, conspiracism, extremism, and that beat became pretty valuable during the pandemic, like when the pandemic hit. Because before, like, the dystopia beat was like, and there's nothing wrong with this. I love both of these guys. It was Zach Patrizio and Will Summer going to those Jacob Wall press conferences where the guy was dressed like a banana and shit. And that was fine too. That was funny. And they were doing good work because those people were grifters. But during the pandemic, the people who I would say were kind of on that beat before, I'll include like the QAnon Anonymous guys. And maybe I shouldn't list, because I don't want to leave people out, right? Like, I don't want to leave out people who are doing good work. But what ended up happening is that people like us who were told, oh, why aren't you covering real news? Why aren't you covering things that matter? Why are you all into this conspiracy stuff? Why is this what you're talking about? Well, sorry. I mean, the whole thing went, mainstream. It became very, very common in not just alternative media outlets, but some legacy outlets were platforming people who were, saying wild things about health and well, the word wellness is a pretty messed up word at this point, because usually that's associated with like influencers or whatever. But like they were saying these wild things, and all of a sudden this group of people, some of whom worked for legacy media like Ben Collins, and some worked somewhere in between like at the Daily Beast, and then people who were totally independent like me and Julian and Travis from QAnon Anonymous. We were all of a sudden the people who knew, the people who understood. Had the pandemic never happened, I would have never been name checked in articles on 538, right? And not for nothing, they kicked me off of Facebook for what I said about them in 538, and then the lady at 538 like reached out to her contact at Facebook and was like, "What the fuck?"
Right. So I mean, you're kind of reiterating what Will and I were talking about in terms of independent media. There are some stories, you happen to be on one right now, that for many different reasons, most of them bad, maybe all of them bad, people
All
don't
of them
want
bad.
covered. People don't want these stories covered. People don't want the stories that I've covered either. People do not want my reporting about police murder and the impact on families, and they don't want my reporting on the gig economy and corporate fraud on a global scale. They don't want it. They're going to get it, but they don't want it. So I think you're doing a little bit that right now, because one of the passions I think that you've shown us is an understanding of cults. One of those in particular that you followed very deeply is Scientology.
Yeah, and I mean the reason for that, it's pretty well publicized. I've said anytime anybody asks me about it. In 2004 or 5, my best friend, her mom died, and her mom was a Scientologist, and then all of a sudden they roped her in, and she went off and joined the mothership in Clearwater. And I know where she is now. Strangely enough, she's in Shasta County. Because it all comes back to fucking Shasta County. But I mean, she's the people that knew her haven't really heard from her or spoken to her, and she doesn't seem to have much interest in talking to us. And that's fine. It's whatever. But what I became even more interested, well, I'm very interested in the cult of Scientology, but one of the things I've started to get real interested in is the community, not of like journalists that cover Scientology, but the community of ex-Scientologists who have all found each other, and watching them behave in ways that in some cases remind me of the behavior of the cult of Scientology, where there's in groups and out groups, and people who thou shalt not be criticized, and that kind of stuff that's going on is really interesting to me, because like I'm an outsider. I haven't really been covering Scientology in even a journalistic capacity for very long at all. I was mostly just interested in it because they stole my friend, right? And I was like, fuck those motherfuckers. And so, as it switched over to being more like that, as it switched over to being a thing where I am teaching people about Scientology now, and to some extent explaining the dynamics of high control, high demand groups to people, especially as it maybe relates to conspiracy theory communities, because there's a little bit of crossover going on there. It just occurs to me that there's a lot more to it than just the wacky story about the DC-8s and the volcanoes. That there's a lot of unresolved pain, unresolved trauma, and then the way people get out, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, who's there with open arms? Another group of people that's probably going to cause them pain and trauma if they don't toe the fucking line. And that's sad, actually. And so the thing I'm trying to track down right now is in that space, but I think with the story that I'm looking at, I think it's going to just slip through my fingers, because nobody's willing to go on the record because they don't want to criticize a popular person in the thing, and that's unfortunate. So
Yeah, that is. So where do you see you're moving to a new studio? I know the community has been pretty generous to you in helping you get all of the accoutrement for the new studio. Hopefully you can have at least bisexual lighting, if not gay lighting. What's the new studio going to be like, and what's that going to allow you to do?
So one of the things that I thought I wanted was a lot of space. But now, once I got into a lot of space, This place I'm in right now is a garage, and one of the problems with the garage is lighting. The walls are not white; they're wooden, and so they don't reflect light properly. So the community was generous enough to buy me just an absolute shit ton of lights, like you might see at a club or a concert, which are really powerful, and they're exactly what I need to light this place up.
Right, and we have an inside joke about many of the broadcaster we've been watching who are, of course, rabidly bigoted in many different ways, and then they have purple lighting, and so Dave had a joke about bisexual. I don't remember where the generation of bisexual lighting came from, but we
it's a Twitter thing.
It.
Maybe Tumblr kids came up with it.
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully we'll get that.
So what I'm going to be able to do is like use a lot of what I learned about lighting. This space in the new space, I'll be able to, I'll probably be able to get rid of this this backdrop behind me and just have like lighting behind me. I'm looking into ways to include the logo in the lighting behind me, but that's making it look sharp and good and stuff. It's going to be a challenge. It's certainly not the top of my list, but it's going to be not big. It's going to be like a medium-sized bedroom, which is kind of where I was before. But
will you be able to have in-studio guests? One,
yes,
maybe two, or
two.
You'll be able to have up to two.
There'll be two stations, just like there are now. There's a station next to me. In the new space, the station will be across the room from me, but there'll be two stations, each with one of these Makosi cameras, and then there'll be other cameras for like when I'm DJing or whatever will be like mounted to the walls. And they'll be pointed in certain directions. The disco ball's coming with, but I'm going to be able to light that up better so that it actually shines on me while I'm playing.
So talk about the Echoplex sessions. So one of the fun things on Saturdays, often it's before the Catterday show. So Dave will log on a bit early and play some tunes, and people have kind of a community time. People just hang out and enjoy. And then sometimes it happens often, at least once a week, generally. Then after a show will end, Dave will take a quick break and switch to the DJing. Dave, you've been DJing since you were a kid, right?
Yeah. I wanted drums when I was a teenager. And my mom was like, you know what has a volume knob is turntables and a mixer. And you go to raves, so maybe we could get that for you instead. Because drums don't have a volume knob, and that was that. I started, I was like 16 or something. I've been DJing. I threw raves for a long time because I didn't want to get a real job, and that was a lot of fun, but totally illegal. So that wasn't I never got busted or anything. But it was fun, but it's young man's work, not something I should be still doing. I don't know. But one of the main things I like about it is it gives people in the chat like an opportunity maybe to have discussions that are off topic, because we really do try to eat like the regulars. If you notice in the chat that the chat is talking about what the show is about at the most of the time. New people come in and they don't they end up having a problem when they come in if they want to like be disruptive, because the people in the chat don't care. They're like, no, we're talking about this Charlie Kirk video or whatever. Bugger off.
And it's for somebody like me who just likes to laugh, like satire, and likes to read funny stuff from other people. The chat's a joy. Like, we just make each other laugh, quite frankly.
So yeah, I think it's good that it gives people an opportunity to to have off-topic conversations, or just to kind of groove out. And for me too, like if for example, like if like late at night, if I decide to DJ, it's because my mind is cooked, right? But my body, I know I'm going to be up for a while, so I can we'll lose 2/3 of the viewers or whatever, and that's fine. But this will be some like community time, and I might DJ anyway, so I may as well broadcast it. And it just kind of like it allows me, I guess, to just keep drinking.
Right, but you make a lot of your own mixes, and like you're doing a lot of stuff. You make videos. I mean, you do quite a production out of it. It's not just you're not just like playing tunes off of the internet.
Oh no, I'm quite good. What would it
what would people expect if they wanted to tune in? Like what's different about Echoplex sessions than just music? Why would somebody want to check it out?
I mean, it's being chopped up and live remixed in a lot of cases. If I'm a little less enthusiastic, it's still being mixed properly, being mixed in key. Sometimes sometimes the samples are being done live. Just a little bit more than just blending the songs, but unfortunately I'm not super good at like turntablism. So you'll very rarely hear me scratching, very rarely. It's usually if I'm quite intoxicated, you'll hear me scratching, and I'm not bad at it, but I'm not like super good at it. So it's not something you're going to get a lot of on my channel. Plus, it feels weird scratching. Like I've always felt weird scratching on like digital equipment versus vinyl. Vinyl feels a certain way, and it just doesn't. I know a lot of people, they do great stuff with it. I'm not like, there's no problem if people are scratching on digital equipment. It's just and the fact that I was never like super into it in the first place. The reason that I did like it is because of the physicality of it, and I don't, you don't get the physicality of it on a controller just isn't there. There's just something. The record's heavy. The motor on the turntable has a lot of torque. It just feels a certain way, and that feeling is gone on digital equipment. No matter how much they try to emulate it, they're never going to be able to.
When you look at the demographics of your audience on Twitter, you've been how long? I'm sorry, on Twitch. My apologies. How long have you been on Twitch now?
I mean, I think the account creation date is probably 17 or 18, but that's not like, I think that we didn't really hit Twitch in any kind of meaningful way until the 2020, I think.
Okay, so we'll say around 3 years. In that 3 years, we have a little joke. So you guys call yourself what is it? The what side of left Twitch? What do you?
Oh, the fun but scary side, I think it says in the
fun but scary side of left Twitch. And so yeah, that gives you it away. It's generally a more left leaning, but generally nonpartisan group. I don't think we have many real partisan fans in there.
Not many diehard Democrats. No,
that I've seen. When we do make a joke about calling it the Twitter old folks home, because I think I may be your oldest listener, and I'm not even that old. I'm 55.
Absolutely not.
Which is not that old.
There are retired people. There are retired people who are regulars.
Yeah, there you go. So we've got some youngsters in there that are in there.
Youngster, we mean like almost 30.
late 20s. That's right. I'm dating myself big time. What do you see as the demographics of Twitch? You're also on YouTube. You do some other broadcasting. I know you have an exclusive broadcasting live with Twitch because that gives you some benefits. As an independent broadcaster, how'd you make that decision, and where do you see that going?
I mean, the thing is, it's not like we're not partnered, but we're. And I don't even know if the program's still running, but we agreed to exclusivity. First of all, you're not supposed to, if you're an affiliate, you're not supposed to multi-stream anyway. They don't, if you're making money, they don't enforce it though. But I don't even know if we were more likely to be on the homepage for a while because they were trying to push talk shows for a bit because the idea is that everybody thinks it's a gaming site, and it largely is. The biggest channels are always games, or maybe now some sporting events because they're kind of reaching out into doing like more sporting events.
That's right. That's right. They were broadcasting. I think college wrestling was something that they were, I think, pushing out there or something. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, interesting broadcasting.
So they're that we thought we were going to come to Twitch and be like kind of counter programming versus like the manosphere for like younger men. We thought that was like where we were going to end up fitting in, and that's what didn't happen. So, Twitch seems to skew male and young, probably white, I would guess, but I don't know for sure, but our audience skews a little bit older, and there's a lot of women that hang out in our chat, and it seems to be a lot of queer people hang out in the chat, and I don't know, as far as whether or not a lot of people of color hang out, I don't know, because we don't ask. Like, why would we? Like, what? Like,
but the diversity is both apparent and enjoyable. It would be my statement there. So I want to get it wrapped up, because this is your night off, and I really appreciate the opportunity to kind of give people to learn a little bit about you, because this is not the stuff you talk about on your broadcast. You don't really
spend
talk
very
about
little
yourself a whole lot.
To the extent that I talk about myself, I talk about audio a lot, and that's about it.
Right, you're an audio geek, but you don't really, you don't really talk a whole lot about that. But I want to. You're doing something fun, and it sounds. I don't know. It probably doesn't sound as cool as it is, but you've got a really cool merch store, and it's not just. I don't know. Like, it's not just stuff to make you money. Like, a lot of it would be supporting community, supporting charities, supporting some bands, and of course supporting the channel is too. And it's also really cool looking stuff. Like, when I wear it around Portland, people are stopping me, asking me how to get it.
That Ruffy shirt is really good. So the thing with the Ruffies is they do have merch available at their events, right?
I'm gonna get the link to your merch store while you're talking.
Yeah, it's just eplex.store, actually. So the thing with the Ruffies is they have merch at their events, but they like realized, they're like, we keep running, we'll get a run of t-shirts printed, and we try to guess what people are going to want, but we keep running out of extra large and large t-shirts. And so, like, now at their events, if they run out of extra large and somebody's like, I need an extra large t-shirt, they're like, hey man, I'm sorry, I'm out of them, but here's a link. You can buy this t-shirt and it'll be at your house in a week, and it'll come to you, direct printed from our online store. And that's worked out pretty well for them, because then they don't not get the sale, because, we have a split with them for the online store. But secondly, people go to that shop and there's stuff that's exclusive in that shop that they don't have prints of, their old albums. We have all of their album logos on shirts there. And so people sometimes will be like, oh, well, I've never seen this shirt. And, if Patty K's got time, he's like, oh, that's exclusive online. We don't print those anymore. And so that's been real good. And they were just too lazy to do it themselves, which is fine. They work and they're in a punk band. What do you think they're? I'm
kind of like that too. Like, I mean, the amount of infrastructure I want to deal with really is not that high. I want to write and yap my mouth. I don't really want to work that hard.
Yeah. And so, like, we went through and got all their, designs, all their old designs. We actually put them through Stable Diffusion to upscale them so that they were appropriate for print.
Nice.
And shout out to HK for helping a little on that, although I now use Stable Diffusion. But we were never able to really get the merch thing to work for us. I'm like, on this one, it's just all shout outs to Fourth Wall, honestly. Like,
right, that's a vendor that you use, a partner, Fourth Wall, and they're pretty cool. They're kind of a newer company, but they're really high service, high touch. I met with them and was really impressed.
Yeah. Like, we got an email and I was like, I don't want to take a call about a merch shop. And then the media wench was like, you should take the call about the merch shop. When was the last time you sold a t-shirt? And I was like, okay. And I took a call and I was impressed. I was impressed with what they were doing. And so I signed up. If I'm not mistaken, I think I was one of the first 20 people on there, actually. And word on the street is one of the higher ups there is a fan of the channel, and that's why we ended up getting contacted early on. They won't tell me who it is, but
nice.
Secrets are fine. But yeah, what I wanted. When I decided, first of all, once I saw the first time that somebody was able to gift an item out in the chat and the way that worked, I was like, oh, this is the business. Because not only
people are generous in the chat. They gift each other stuff, gift memberships, give some t-shirts. People win some free stuff in there. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, it makes the channel like kind of sticky too for people. People are going to be more likely to come back, even if they're like, oh, I don't have a lot of money to spend, but if I hang out on that channel, I might get one of those cool fucking shirts anyway. It's like, it's cool. And then it allows people who do have, people who have more means or whatever in the community to be generous, not just with us, but now because they're giving merch out, they're being generous with other members of the community. And I assume they do it because it feels good, right? And because they want to support the community. And so that's just the first time I saw that, I was like, this is the business. And then I was like, okay, now I need to really get on this merch. I need to make sure the merch is good, right? Because there's some stuff in there I still think is kind of hokey from our old shop, like the Madison Star Moon blocked me on Facebook t-shirt. I think the design is crap, but I think the thing about it is it kind of harkens back to another time, right?
Yes, it's nostalgic.
And yeah, it harkens back to another time, so we leave it there. And but the better ones, the better designs are like the Live Laugh Lucifer design. I think the shirt you're wearing with the
here, I'll hold up my mouse pad because
that's easier.
I also got the matching mouse pad.
Yeah, with the disco ball. That's a picture that I took, but then it was put through Stable Diffusion so that I told it to make it look a little more cartoony, but keep it realistic, because otherwise the photo just wasn't going to print well. It was too many colors. And so these
are shameless plugs, but Dave's my friend, so I can make him money if I want to. I like selling other people. I hate selling myself. I'll sell Dave all day long with shamelessly. You should see me selling Dave. I can't sell myself for crap, but that's okay.
That Ruffy
Dave,
shirt is
this is the bomb. This is the coolest. This is so cool. Somebody probably already tried to steal it.
They did. Yeah,
it's how cool it is. But this shirt's the bomb. I can't wear it in Portland without people asking me where to get some. And Dave even made me a 10% off code. So send me a text and I'll give you Dave's 10% off code for a Ruffy shirt.
Oh, well, anybody actually listening to this, now space all caps at checkout will get you 10% off of anything except for the Pride merch, because that Pride merch is charity, so we don't offer discounts.
I gave 3 of those Pride shirts away for charity, which was a lot of fun. Hilda Beast comments that she loves her bingo shirt. One of the things, tell people what bingo is. So there's kind of a audience participation element to the show that's a lot of fun, that maybe people that aren't even so much into the content will have fun with sometimes. So tell people what that is.
Yeah, there's always this joke, I didn't have that on my bingo card. I didn't have that on my bingo card. I didn't have that on my bingo card. And then I was like, well, what if you did have it on your bingo card? And so we made bingo cards. We started with conspiracy bingo. And then we actually had the show, the conspiracy show I was doing Friday afternoons for a while. And I had called it Deconstructing Derp. And I was like, that name's kind of shitty. The word derp has got some kind of ableist kind of shit around it that I shouldn't.
It sounds pejorative. Those are not that great.
Yeah. So I rebranded it to Conspiracy Bingo and put out a bingo card. And at first because Conspiracy Bingo has been going on a while. At first there weren't necessarily enough people in chat for it to be fun, but as soon as we kind of got to where the average viewer count hit about 25 or 30, like for that show, it got fun because people were playing bingo and posting screenshots of it in the bingo parlor of our Discord.
Right. And so like a square would say
chemtrails or
chemtrails. A square would say, alien abduction. A square would say something like that. And so of course it makes a bingo card and we get a good kick out of that. But yeah, that's a good time. And people just log on, you get yourself a bingo card. You got your own individual card by just pressing going to a website, and then you can play along. I guess
the best part though is at the end of the night, as we start winding down, everybody's like, shit, I forgot to play bingo all night. I have this tab open and I didn't even play bingo.
Right.
And I think I wish they would, filled out their bingo card and won, but that's telling me that like they came here intending to play bingo and they forgot about the bingo card because they were having so much fun or, just interested in the content.
Right. And so one of the things, obviously one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is I want to introduce you to some of my friends and the people that listen to the full Dashclosure audiobook and podcast. I'm proud to say I was accepted as one of the few advertisers on Echoplex Media, and I've advertised on a couple of the podcasts. It's been a lot of fun. I'm very proud to do that. And so I'm glad to introduce you. I think most nights you're hovering somewhere around 60 to 70 live viewers at a time. I see you on the cusp of breaking 100 and hitting the big time. So
we cracked 100 last night.
I'm jumping on the train right now.
We cracked 100 last night with no big raids. So shout out to Freems, by the way, who did raid us with 34 viewers, but that was like before it went up and went down and went up and went down. I think it's, it's one of the things that Ashley, the media wench, always says is that, like, if the growth is slow and steady, that it's real growth, and to be suspicious if things seem to jump up too quickly, because right. There are ways in which, like, if I wanted to, maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, I don't mind saying this. If I wanted to really kind of mess with somebody, I'd buy them a bunch of Twitter followers.
Right.
Because they would think that they'd got for whatever reason, that they had a magical tweet or whatever. But just to, like, understanding that there might be people out there who might do such a thing. If I got 400 followers today, I'd be like, well, I don't think that was Jeff's show. Something fishy's going on here, right?
Yeah, exactly. Slow and steady. But I do see the growth path, and it's pretty exciting. I'm excited for you guys.
Well, I'm just excited that I've been able to monetize it in the way that I have. And I think one of the things about having the older, like, more mature audience is that they're going to be a demographic that has a little extra money to spend. And so they're going to support.
And whether we have money or not, I think there's a spirit of generosity. If I waited until I had money to give it to my friends, I'd never give my friends money. So I just give my friends money and don't worry about it. I'm weird.
We'll kind of see where it goes. One of the things that I think moving to this space kind of brought us up to a level where people were, even if people liked the content prior, I think the people also can see work, right? They can see that work was done to put this space together. Because not only is, there's a backdrop here, there's a backdrop over there, but prior, the setup was different, where there was a desk kind of diagonal from me, and the media one should set up like a whole, like, tapestries and sheer curtains and little fairy lights and just all kinds of stuff back there to make sure that it was, like, kind of interesting to look at, but also kind of contrasty with my background. And people kind of see that stuff, and they're, like, more willing to kind of take you seriously, I think, when they see work. Like, the next spot, people are going to see the work. Like, this spot, I think they saw, oh, they got a backdrop. Oh, they, have a bigger space. Oh, they have a place for bands to play. Oh, the DJs now in the place where the bands are playing. Oh, they got better cameras. Oh, that kind of stuff. The next space, I think people are going to see, if I'm right, they're going to see the lighting. They're going to see that the lighting is just better. One of the things that is a big problem, though, is because I'm the producer and the presenter, there's all these screens in front of me, so it's hard to light me unless the lights have to be coming kind of down on me.
Right.
Because there's no way, I'm not, like, where the fuck else is the light going to come? I have a screen right in front of me here. I have a screen, and then there's screens up on shelves on this desk. And then there's nowhere to, like, if I just stick a ring light right here, it's just going to blow out my face with the ring light, and it's going to annoy me, and I'm just going to throw it, right? I'll drink like 5 cocktails and just eat the ring light on stream or something.
Right.
But I think the next spot, because the walls are going to be white instead of this kind of wooden stuff, the light's going to reflect and diffuse better. And I think it's just going to look better. And I think that, like, one of the things that people appreciate is that when you've done work, and it's not, I'm trying to remember who was it that came on. They were like, oh yeah, I want to kind of come on your show one night. And then after the show, they were like, I've never been on a show with someone prepared like that before. They're right. Like, you had a 5-page Google document with stuff about cults that you just pulled from. I'm like, yeah. Oh, it was Faraday. Faraday Speaks. Caleb Kane, the guy who was, he was in that article about the New York Times article about the YouTube rabbit hole. That was who came on, and he was like, he's like, no, I've never. Why? He's like, you were the most prepared person I've ever been on. Right. And people that just watch, they don't know. Hildebeest knows. Hildebeest is up in the chat. Too. When you get on, you're like, oh, there's a even for conspiracy bingo, that's like kind of the kind of goofy off the wall show. There's just this giant Google document with just stuff that is being collected, and the show on Sunday. I mean, I spend all week putting that together. A shout out to Jeff, and especially to Allie Drew, in the Discord, who puts a bunch of articles in the chat there for that.
That's right. So I want to plug that audience participation element. As you learn about Dave's show and you jump on the Discord, you can actually submit stories for the different shows during the week. There are different Discords for that. There's also kind of I don't want to call it the inside, we'll call it the old timers Discord. There's the old timers Discord where we yak at each other with stuff. It's just kind of a small community, but you can absolutely contribute to the stories. And Dave, unlike the old days when he had co-broadcasters, let's see, he has the councilman and then he has HK, but all the other shows, he's the solo host and he is the producer and host all week.
You're gonna be you came back at a weird time. The media wench was in the process of buying a home, so she was busy, but she'll be back. She'll be back.
And when he says they came back, I was not on the internet much during the pandemic. I wasn't into it, so I did disappear. I wasn't really gone. It was
but but when you showed back up
I showed back up on Dave's radar.
Yeah. She was in the congratulations to her, by the way, on buying a house, even though she had to leave the Bay Area proper to do it. Congratulations to her.
We love Media Wench. Thank you, Ashley.
Also, for Local Love, Chip DeVille was the co-host or the host of that for a while. But like I said, I think that one's changing in such a dramatic way and going to no longer just be it's no longer going to be the show it was, and it's probably going to maybe be put out quarterly, if that. And so it's probably going to be me doing the hosting because the subject matter is going to change. And it's pretty much, the work part is all me.
And you're on all podcatchers, basically. The Intellectual Dollar Tree, also known as IDT, that's heavily distributed. People can catch that almost anywhere.
And it's huge. It charts.
Tell us about that. Plug it since it's the big program.
Oh yeah, just real quick. The way that it came about, right? Because when we had the big panel, there'd be the good wife and the media wench just fired every one of those motherfuckers. Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson, Michael Shermer, Stefan Molyneux at the time was kind of big. They just kept firing all those people. They're like, we're not going to cover them on Sunday anymore. So we spun off a show about that because. At the time, the breadboard baker, R.I.P. Joe, was interested in that as well, and so was I. And then HK found out what we were doing. He's like, "Oh, I got to jump on this too." And so it got spun off because people, the rest of the women, basically on the panel, for whatever reason, hated those motherfuckers and didn't want to hear their fucking voices. And that's it's fine. It's reasonable. And so now it's like, I mean, by a wide margin, as far as the podcasts go, it is the most popular one we do, just by a wide margin.
It's great. But I think if they hit, if you go to Echoplex Media on any podcatcher, you're going to see the variety of podcasts, right?
Yeah, you'll see any of the ones that are currently active. And that means sometimes you'll have to look for Local Love specifically, depending on the podcatcher, because a lot of times if something hasn't released in about a month, it'll just fall off when you search for the production company name or whatever it is. But you'll always, you'll find, for sure, you'll find the Intellectual Dollar Tree, the Plex, Down Ballot, and our tech show that we don't do live that I actually recorded before my appearance here with you. That's called How the Tech Are You?
That's right.
You find all of those.
Matt. Historian Matt's a cool guy.
Yeah, Historian Matt. And Historian Matt used to co-host the Sunday show with me more often, but just got other things going on. He's working on his second graphic novel, and he moved to Florida to be closer to his parents who are retired, and he's spending more time with them, so that's fine. Plus, like that, the Plex, the it's basically just a cyclonic panic attack of news clips. It's probably better that I do that by myself anyway.
That's right. That's our weekly show. So I, with the full Dashclosure Audiobook and Podcast, will be recording episode 17, which comes after this one, 16, tomorrow morning. What time will I be doing that? I will be doing that. I had not planned on doing it live, but I might. I will be doing that at what time? At 7:30 p.m. Pacific tomorrow night. I said the morning because the person I will be speaking to is a internationally known reporter whose name is Varsha Bansal, and Varsha is in India and has covered caste discrimination, attacks, and murders on people in the gig economy in India. And so it's certainly my theory that that caste-based system and discrimination is spreading to the rest of the world through these gig apps and through this computer ad control. So I'm really excited to talk to Varsha Bansal tomorrow. She wrote a very important article that you can find on my Twitter about those attacks in India. And I think that is a harbinger for the societal disruption that we're seeing. And we see plenty of violence in the United States. So that's going to be, I got it confused because India's on the other side of the world. That's tomorrow morning her time, but I will be at nighttime tomorrow when I do this. So I'll be at 7:30 to 9. I'll probably do live with Varsha Bansal. Very excited about that. Dave, what do you have coming up this week?
Nothing tonight. Tomorrow, post-production. Of course, post-production. Tomorrow, the Plex goes out on all the podcatchers and YouTube. Then Wednesday, I have the Intellectual Dollar Tree. I haven't even thought about what I'm going to do for that. It's probably going to be something infuriating by some fucking.
But that records live, and people can join you for the live broadcast. What time on Wednesday for the Intellectual Dollar Tree?
Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific, and it's going to be a hot one here on Wednesday. So,
so I'm going to put that up in the chat. We won't cover like a whole week because the Plex is on Sundays. But I'm going to put up IDT tomorrow at 7 p.m.
It's Wednesday, not tomorrow.
Sorry, Wednesday. Oh, geez. Okay, so let's see. I'm not that bright. Can I? Oh, it won't go up on the screen unless it tells IDT Wednesday at 7 p.m. EDT. So check that one out. That's a premiere broadcast. Tomorrow, Dave said the Plex, which is the Sunday show, last Sunday show, will be hitting YouTube. We'll be hitting the podcasters. Dave's got generally like a fourth wall sponsorship program where you can get some extra content. That's pretty cool. Yep. So Dave, I'll let you have the last word and say goodnight to everybody. I'm tired. It's been a lot of fun, guys. Thank you. Thank you to Will for being on. I'm excited about being the editor-in-chief of such a fine publication with such a fine group of people. Thank you, Dave, for being on from Echoplex Media. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your night off, and I'm sorry for taking you away from your day off.
Oh, no worries. This was pretty chill. Yeah, and for the show schedule, it always changes, especially as the summer months go on. So best place to go is just go echoplexmedia.com/calendar, and you'll see what's coming up. Or the general schedule is just at echoplexmedia.com at the top of the. Let me make sure here. I think it's. Oh no, there's a thing begging for money at the top. The schedule is under the embedded Twitch player on the homepage of our website.
Oh yeah, and our dear Hildebeest reminds us that you could also follow Dave on Twitter. You could follow me on Twitter. You could even follow Hildebeest on Twitter. And all of those things would be really nice. Hildebeest can be found at HILDE_beast. She is one of my absolutely favorite people. And Dave can be found at Mista Buhau, MISTAHBUHAU. Did I get that right, Dave?
I think so. Yeah. RIP. Or is it Mr. I don't know. I don't even know my own Twitter. RIP to Plex_Dave. I got kicked off of Twitter for calling Jacob Wool a stupid twink.
Yeah, you can't call racist. You can't call racist. It's unfortunate.
I'm also on Blue Sky. I'm also on Blue Sky at Plex Dave, and then and if you're a Mastodon user, that's Dave at port87.social.
That's right, and I'm at LRB. It is not on Twitter. You can also just find me by just putting Jeff Thomas Black in Google, and you'll see which crimes I've committed and which ones I'm innocent of. So it's been great, Dave. Thank you so much. Cool. It's like this is the first I've been on your show many times. This is the first time to have you on my show, so I kind of feel like the baby leaving the nest. Like Hildebeest talks about that too. Like she's launched little podcasters, and so I kind of feel like maybe I've launched a little podcaster, or I've been launched as a little podcaster. Thank you, Dave.